Good news from South Korea again. Seoul removes women-only parking spaces and gender policy reversal. Thank you. It shows you that they actually are against the discrimination against men. I'm glad to see that. Now, South Korea's capital, Seoul, is removing women-only parking spaces 14 years after it was introduced as a showing women are superior to men. I just corrected that, right? The women-only spots had been instated in 2009 after a spate of violent crimes in the basement car parks. No, I don't believe that whatsoever. I don't believe that there was a bunch of violent crimes all at once. This is the BBC. Just assume that they're lying because they're feminist run. But city officials say that such spaces aren't necessary anymore and will be converted to family parking spots. Good, which means a lot of men have it. Of course, trust me, a lot of women will be running around with kids. So it's basically a way of giving women free spots in a way. But what they're saying is these tradcons are saying we're going to give preferential treatment to women that actually produce children and have husbands. That's what it is. So there's still some discrimination there as far as I'm concerned. Critics say removal is just a late example of anti-hate movement policies in South Korea. See, I corrected that again. Chung Eng-jung, 55, said she uses the female spaces whenever she can find one. I feel safer when I use them, and that there are not so many dangerous people close by. You mean men, right? Yeah, this is bullshit. These are women saying, I like having this privilege. Don't take my privilege away. And they did. I'm so glad. When I get in the car, I always lock the door immediately. Don't care about your feelings. Don't care about your feelings. Her daughter said she was upset that her mother would feel less safe. I don't give a shit about your mother's feelings, girl. I don't want to see men discriminated against. And I don't believe she's afraid. She likes her privilege. It seems strange that they would actively get rid of something that makes women feel safe. No, it's not strange at all that people would be against gender discrimination. Well, I suppose it's strange over here in the West because people love gender discrimination against men. They're not that big of a deal. If it's not that big of a deal, then who cares if they're there then, right? It's not like half the car park is dedicated to women, only a few spots. Yeah, the best spots, the closest ones, so they don't have to walk as far. That's what this is about. This is not about safety. It's about two things: privileges, saying that they're better than men, and have an easier time. Right. In Seoul, which South Korea's largest city, car parks with more than 30 spaces required to allocate 10% to women, just under 2,000. Right. Okay. Well, they changed that, thank God. They tended to be near building entrances. There you go. So women would have to walk through basements in the dark. Well, they wouldn't have to walk very far either, right? And of course, they give some bullshit stat that's not true. They showed more than 2/3 of violent crimes committed in the city's parks were sexual crimes. Rape, sexual assault, and harassment. We know that sexual assault and harassment are watered down, right? So they'd only be correct if harassment was a guy coming on to a girl or a woman, right? So these are exaggeratedly inflated stats that they'll show, right? So don't believe them. Just assume this is a lie. A Seoul mayor, Oh Si-hoon, who introduced the woman-only spaces, reverses his own policy. You know why? Because some of these young guys stood up for themselves. And actually, you know why? Because young men in Korea formed a political alliance and worked together with politicians and said, you can have my vote. And that's why it is. And that's what we have to do in the West. He said it is time to consider families. See how clever a politician is? He doesn't want to come right out and say, this is discriminatory, which he should really, but he's backing it for families, right? So he's basically, these are tradcons, believe me, because he's basically saying we're giving it to the special women who have shacked up with men. The new family spots will be made available to pregnant women or people traveling with children. In a way, that's better because, in other words, if you're a father and you have children, you can use it. So it's a lot less discriminatory. There's still some, though. The city council confirmed that women who did not meet these criteria would not be allowed to use them. Good, I'm glad. What's it like to be the average Joe, lady? Such a move feeds into the critics that say the culture is anti-hate movement and that has characterized South Korea politics over the last few years. Good. So, in other words, these young guys took the wheel and did what they were supposed to do. And the discrimination is being tossed in trash, at least to a certain degree. Men in South Korea increasingly argue that the policies designed to advantage women are discriminatory. Thank you. Finally. I guess the BBC had to admit something. The current government has removed the term gender equality from its school ethics curriculum and is trying to close its gender equality ministry. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Walking 100 meters more does not make you less safe. In these days, parking areas are covered with surveillance cameras. Yeah, well, of course. I don't know. Yeah, okay. That's the end of the article. I wasn't going to read much more because the point has been made. The point has been made. Everyone in the West take notes from South Korea. All you guys stop looking for dating and ways to get with women and start fighting for your rights as people, because that's what the young men in South Korea did. And politicians will listen to you if there's enough of it. If there's enough of us saying, we are willing to back you, and monetarily too, you politicians, we want our rights. We want our voices heard. It's harder to do it here because we let the hate movement get in. But at least you can see by South Korea that it can be done. Okay, that's it.